I'm Helen.
And I'm Liz.
And we're sisters,
Scientists.
and lifelong X-Files fans.
And this is We Want to Believe.
All right. Hi, everyone. Today we are coming to you with a bonus/update episode. Liz is currently in Europe, gallivanting around and, working, I suppose.
And it's weird that Helen says this because it is true as you listen to this. I am in Europe. As we record this episode, sitting in my house in Wisconsin. So I feel like I'm not in Europe. What are you? Stop lying to them. But I will be. When you hear this.
Yeah. And so we're not doing a full episode where we discuss one of the episodes today. We just have a few updates and wanted to pop in so that we released something this Friday, today.
Yeah. And so I want to start. I have some stuff to tell Helen. And I thought, let's wait until we record for me to tell her. So yesterday, I saw some old friends and I was talking about our podcast. And one of my old friends was like, oh, well, did you see about the hearing, the congressional hearing that happened this week? And I was like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. There was a congressional hearing that was the first in more than half a century to focus on military reports on UFOs.
Wait, really?
Yep.
This week?
Yes.
Well, okay, so the week of May. This would have been.
It was like May 18th, May 19th, something like that is when the congressional hearing was. Yeah. And so they're talking to the Pentagon, and it was basically lawmakers prodding the Pentagon for more information about UFOs.
Whoa. What did the Pentagon have to say?
Not much. The Pentagon, I'm quoting from a New York Times article here.
Okay.
And the article's from 5/17. So I think the hearing was Tuesday. So that would have been 5/17. Sorry. Anyway, so quoting from this New York Times article, the Pentagon officials testified under oath that the government had not collected materials from any alien landing on Earth, pushing back on at least one favored conspiracy theory. But what I thought was really interesting, and this is what my friend brought up yesterday, is
the landing on Earth part of it?
No, a video that they shared that is unexplained.
Oh.
The highlight of the hearing was a split-second image shot last year through the window of an FA-18 fighter jet of a spherical object in a distance. And the pilot reported observing the object, and it remains unexplained, and it moves real fast, and they don't know what it is. It's silvery.
Whoa.
You can see a clip of it online. It's really quick, and it's weird. It's like a weird silvery sphere in the air moving.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, okay. And so they testified that they have not
They have not collected materials from an alien landing on Earth. So in other words, like Area 51 going and getting stuff, which is, the topic of a lot of X-Files episodes that we have in our future. Mm-hmm. They testified under oath that they haven't done that. But I feel like there's still a lot of room there for stuff.
Well, I feel like, if they haven't collected materials, that's not to say that they don't have information about.
Yeah.
And the landing part, I also think,
Yeah.
What if nothing landed? Right. Yeah.
I know.
Not that I actually feel rather vindicated hearing this or validated. Like I never thought that Area 51 was a thing. And so to hear them testify that they haven't been doing that, I kind of feel like, okay, cool.
I mean, it is a thing in the sense that it's a place,
yes.
but like with the crash landing and everything. Yeah.
Right.
Roswell, all that. I will say this. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the article and about this hearing. It's like weirdly bipartisan. There's like so-and-so, a Democrat from Illinois said this about UFOs, and this Republican said, this about UFOs. I'm like, is this the common ground? I'll tell you more about the article, but I thought that we've been doing this podcast long enough and we have not addressed a central question that I think we ought to talk about, which is, do we believe in UFOs, in aliens, you and I?
So, okay.
I think we should talk about that
this is where we have to clarify, because do we mean I separate UFOs versus aliens in my mind. Like, do I believe that there are unexplained sightings of some sort of aircraft? Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, perhaps that I shouldn't say UFOs since that literally means unidentified flying
Right.
objects. So of course we have some objects that haven't been identified.
Right.
Um,
So, like, do we believe in spacecraft driven by aliens?
yeah, little
Yeah.
steering wheel. Yeah, like the thing that just left in the Amish alien episode, big thing like making a crop circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will tell you also, they had another video that they talked about that they
Mhm.
played that showed this image shot through night vision goggles that showed glowing green triangles moving through the air that was
Whoa.
shot in 2019. And I watched that and it is real spooky.
Hmm.
But the small triangles in that recording were determined to be drones. And the look of it with the weird kind of spooky look to this video
Hmm.
came from the lens that was being used to
Ah.
film it.
Hmm.
So that was one where they were like, look, this looks super suspicious and creepy, but we examined it and it turns out it's explainable.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. One of the things I didn't see in the article, but my friend mentioned was that, and this was saved up, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. She mentioned they talked something about seeing an object that moved at 13,000 miles an hour,
Whoa.
and which is awfully
Whoa.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, it's like, what is that, 15 or 20 times the speed of sound?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they said Mach 15. So I was trying to find a reference to that number because we were
Mhm.
talking about it yesterday and we were like, well, particles can move that fast. Because, both of us
Yeah.
have worked at Fermilab and Argonne and places with particle accelerators,
Oh, yeah.
but not like vehicles,
Yeah.
not
Right.
like macro sort of stuff.
Hmm.
And so we were talking about that. So then I was looking it up. And when you just search 13,000 miles per hour, what you find are some articles from about 8 to 10 years ago with the government experimenting with making aircraft that move that fast.
Whoa.
And so they're like unmanned right now, but they're
Yeah.
like working on unmanned things moving that fast. And then working on manned craft would be later.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. And so that
Now-
also sort of blew my mind and also made me think, man, it would be so much easier to get to Europe if we could go at Mach 15.
Now,
Oh,
my thought is like that pretty much only has implications for weapons, right? Are there any other implications for that that are not?
vacations in Europe.
Well,
I mean, that's the thing. It's like everything has implications for weapons, but it's like, I don't think that's the only thing. I mean, I think
just having that technology to eventually use for
you
stuff
never
like
know,
airplanes or
like it's
yeah.
really hard to say when we investigate new stuff, what is going to lead to what. I mean,
Yeah.
I always think about at Fermilab, when you talk about particle accelerators, when I talk about them to my students sometimes, and I'm like, well, we take real small things, speed them up real fast. Sometimes we hit them together, we see what comes out. Like, and it just seems like really arbitrary. And like the first particle accelerators and all that, it's just, fundamental scientific curiosity to a degree.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
just for weapons or whatever. But now, and I'm sure it's even more advanced since I was working there, because this was in 2002 and then in 2006. They have neutron therapy at Fermilab where they use a special
Oh.
beam line for certain types of cancerous tumors that are resistant to other treatments, where cancer patients can go
Right.
in and the tumors are bombarded with neutrons and it can be
Wow.
really successful. So you never know. Like that
Yeah,
was
that's
certainly
true.
not the intention originally, but I always think
Mhm.
about that as an example of
Yeah. Oh,
being
that's
unable
cool.
to predict this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes me feel more positive about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Um,
Cool.
So back to the hearing a little
Yeah.
bit. The Pentagon officials did say that they had to be sort of careful in what they said, which I think is really weird. They're like, we do not want potential adversaries to know exactly what we're able to see or understand or how we come to the conclusion. Therefore,
Oh.
disclosures must be carefully considered on a case-by-case basis.
That makes sense.
That suggests they don't want China or Russia to know
Yeah.
about our experimental weapons or whatever,
Yes.
which is
Right.
making me think of I think it's the second episode of the X-Files that we weren't super enthusiastic about, but it has the test pilot who kind of gets mad.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
disappears. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, they said that the guy from the Pentagon said they are focusing on for unidentified flying object situations.
Yeah.
They focus on unexplained phenomena that has two strange flight characteristics: fast movement and no visible means of propulsion.
Ah,
And he also said, we'll go wherever the data takes us. We've made no assumptions about what it is or isn't.
cool.
Yeah.
I think that all sounds very reasonable and surprisingly so, in fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Both that they're not like, no, of course not, but also not that they're claiming wild things. Like, it seems just very reasonable.
Yeah. To read you a little more, if I may, this representative, Andre Carson, a Democrat from Indiana, he says, you need to show us, Congress and the American public, whose imagination you've captured, that you are willing to follow the facts where they lead. We fear sometimes that the DoD is focused more on emphasizing what it can explain, not investigating what it can't. I'm looking for you to assure us today that all conclusions are on the table. And I feel like, again, reasonable, but also, can we just take a moment to be like, there's like Congress people who are like, you have a responsibility to tell us about aliens. Like, are you going to tell us about aliens? You tell us. You can't keep them a secret. Like, isn't that like wild? Like,
I mean, like,
it's wild.
That's pretty much the only reason I could see getting into politics. Like, to be able to demand those things of people.
I mentioned before that I'm moving offices recently, but up until I was moving, I had all of these Onion headlines clipped out and taped to my door that were related to science. And one of them said, FBI director really wishes he had some alien shit to cover up. And
I am very interested. I don't know how I'm sure I probably saw this on Instagram or somewhere. I really want for my office door, because I don't have anything there. I want the Weasley family clock. You know, the one that has like a bunch of different circles. Like one is mortal peril, one is like in transit. And I want that for my office, but with like in a meeting and, and like. Yeah. And I think I'd probably leave mortal peril.
I was just going to ask, would you keep mortal peril on there?
Sure.
And also, what if you got to work and it was set to mortal peril?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure that would happen with students.
Yeah.
Like someone's going to do that.
Spook you?
No.
Side note, I don't know. Our mom's partner, Eve, we mentioned him before because my husband is Adam. He's Eve, Adam and Eve. Did you hear the story about the mail and the check?
No.
I'll share it. Even if you had, I would share it now since I referred to it. So he owns a vintage sports car restoration business. A very regular, reliable client was supposed to pay an invoice, and Eve was like, I don't know why I haven't gotten this paid. And the guy, he finally reached out to the guy, and the guy's like, no, I paid it. And then the guy got his mail returned to him. He got the check sent back to him.
Yeah.
Marked deceased.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Eve, the post office marked Eve as dead.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I know. And he's like, I'm thinking about what it is I'm going to say to them, to the post office. I suggested, do you know something I don't?
Yeah. It's like their way of tipping him off about a mob hit or something.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I thought it was more like the post office had hired an assassin to kill him and then just kind of got their wires crossed about the timing.
Like, shoot. Oh,
yeah. Not deceased
that was
yet.
Thursday.
In the post office, they handle mail and also occasional assassinations of random people.
Next week, we'll be talking about the post office at Congress.
Yeah.
And what do you know?
Yeah.
Was there more about the hearing?
Let's see. I feel like there might have been a few more things. Yeah, they basically talk about how, like, one of their main criticisms is that military members, fighter pilots, people who see stuff are often not taken seriously, or they're afraid they're not going to be taken seriously or laughed at. And so they have this sort of environment in which it's not safe for people to come forward with this stuff because they'll be laughed at. And they're talking about how that should change. So
I think it's interesting that it implies that some of these people at least do believe
Yes.
that this stuff is real.
Yes. It's not just people like Max Fennig,
Yeah. Yeah.
X-Files. Yeah. So
Yeah. Huh.
I know it blows my mind. All right. So I want to ask then, what are your thoughts on aliens? Do you believe in them?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
Okay. But all right. So I feel like either we really disagree with each other.
Yeah.
Or we're misunderstanding each other.
Okay, so do I believe in any sort of form of life outside of
Extraterrestrial
ours?
life somewhere in the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. Because I
Yeah.
100% believe that there is life elsewhere in the universe. Just because how could it not be? I think we've talked about the Drake equation before.
Yes.
On an episode of the X-Files, right? Just looking at the numbers, the sheer numbers of stars and galaxies, which I know you're not crazy about thinking about.
I'm not.
Yeah.
No.
To be fair, we'll have like another bonus episode where we just talk all about needles and the circulatory system just to even it out. Yeah.
I've got some equations I could share there talking about,
Equations related to needles?
well, no, about like hydrostatic pressure and
Oh,
stuff.
right. The thing where you said, oh, my sister's a physicist. She could explain this better. And then you were like,
Except
no, she'd pass out.
Yeah, I didn't say that to them though, to be fair.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, yes, I think that there are probably, say, formerly archaebacteria, somewhere deep in some ice somewhere. I do not believe there is anything bigger than that.
Why not? If they can get that big, why not get bigger? We got bigger.
Yeah, but there were very, very specific circumstances that led to us getting bigger that I don't know that I would think would be replicatable.
I just feel like you just don't understand how many stars there are.
Maybe that's true. Maybe I don't want to.
All right, so I'm going to bring the Drake equation back up to remind people from the previous episode. The Drake equation is basically, it's a probabilistic argument used to estimate the number of active communicative extraterrestrial civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy.
Right.
And so basically what they're doing is they are just multiplying a bunch of different terms. And so here are the terms.
Okay.
It's basically n equals, where n is the number of civilizations that humans could potentially communicate with.
Yeah.
N equals, okay, and then we have to consider the mean rate of star formation.
Okay.
How quickly are stars forming?
Mm-hmm.
The fraction of stars that have planets.
Okay.
The mean number of planets that could support life per star with planets.
Uh-huh.
The fraction of life-supporting planets that actually develop life.
Right.
The fraction of planets with life where life develops intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So not just the bacteria.
Yeah.
The fraction of intelligent civilizations that develop communication.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mean length of time that civilizations can communicate.
So, I mean, this all seems extremely improbable.
The thing is, when it does, right? But when you actually run the numbers, just because of things like the rate of star formation and the number of stars in the Milky Way, you find that actually it's not that improbable. It's not like that improbable at all, which I think is really interesting.
So you do then think there are...
I think that, I mean, this is just considering the Milky Way. There's so many other galaxies. Remember, my research was on galaxy clusters. And so that was like the largest gravitationally bound structures in the universe. So we get like clusters of galaxies like the Milky Way or whatever.
Do we have a name for the one that we're in?
Oh, honey.
No, I know the Milky Way.
Oh, the cluster.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm not.
What is happening? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, it's not a very creative name. We are in the local group.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was that I couldn't
Yep.
remember. I know we're in
Sorry.
the Milky Way.
Yes. I think the reason I was confused is that we don't really name galaxy clusters. We'll like be
Ah.
like, that's like, it's this one, it's like this number or that number or whatever. They don't have fun names like galaxies do,
Oh,
like
see, they should.
Andromeda or whatever. Yeah. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I feel like at least ours has a name, I guess.
That's
local
true.
group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you think about just the likelihood in the Milky Way, and then you think about how many other galaxies the size of the Milky Way there are. One of the things that so if you don't know this, listeners, I started college as a journalism major, and I went a solid year and a half intending to be a journalism major, and I was not the most inspired student. I was at a community college, and it'd be like, you have the opportunity to work on the student paper. And I'd be like, must I? And I didn't really want to. I got B's. I don't know. And then I had to take an astronomy class. Well, I had to take a lab science. And so me and my friends decided to take astronomy. And when I was like 10, I'd been really interested in astronomy. And so I took it. Paul Hamill, incredible. I mean, life-changing professor at McHenry County College.
Right.
Yeah. I loved that class so much. And I remember one of the things that blew my mind in that class was talking about with the Hubble, once the Hubble telescope was fixed, that's like a space telescope, right? So it's above the atmosphere. They aimed it at a completely dark patch of sky. And it's called the Hubble Deep Field Image. And if you look at this, it is incredible what the incredible amount of galaxies and color and activity that you can see in this picture of what looks to us like absolutely nothing, because it now had like better resolution, than we were able to ever get before. Yeah. Google the Hubble Deep Field. That is, I mean, essentially, if you wanted to bring it down to one thing, although I mean, it was really the whole semester, thing that in learning about the Hubble Deep Field is what made me decide to go into physics and actually change it. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
So I just feel like
I mostly remember from that class because I took that class as well.
You took it too, right?
Yes, was years later was us having to draw the moon and him putting up everyone's pictures of the moon.
You guys did that too? And he makes fun of them. Yeah, it was like you do a lab, you view the moon through a telescope, you draw it, and then the next day in class, he makes fun of people's pictures. It was like roasting you for your shitty drawings of the moon.
It was pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God,
no, that was a great class.
That.
Yeah, that was fun.
So, I mean, my belief that it's likely that there's something else of interest and like active and able to communicate out there is just, I feel like logical coming from the sheer number of stuff out there in the universe.
So then do you think they visited Earth?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I would say, I think probably not.
Yeah.
Does that mean that I'm walking near, let's say I'm walking near corn late at night? I'm not going to be scared. No, I'm totally going to be scared.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm going to be scared of something anyway. It may as well be aliens. I don't know. Yeah, but no, I feel like it just seems sort of unlikely that like we just get like these hints that they're here, but wouldn't know for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
It seems like something we'd probably be real sure about if they came,
right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I feel like there'd be more evidence. And that's not to say that I think anyone is, well, some people, I'm sure. It's not that I think that everyone is lying about their experiences.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think, once again, it's just stuff we can't explain or don't know how to explain. But that doesn't mean it's aliens.
Agreed. Yeah. I think we're closer on this issue than we maybe sound like initially.
Yeah.
As far as, do you believe in aliens, yes or no? Simplistically, it doesn't sound like we'd agree. But I think maybe it's just a matter of how likely does it feel to us that there's advanced civilization somewhere. Right. Look at the Hubble Deep Field. See if you feel differently. I don't know. Remember, each
I
one
might
of those
just
little
feel
dots.
like hiding under my bed.
Would you like to tell us more about why space is scary?
Too
you
big.
Can just be like, no, it's too big.
It's
like
just
Tobias.
Yeah.
No.
No. Yeah, it's just too big. I don't like it. I don't like the idea that we don't know what's beyond it,
Oh
or
yeah,
if
that's
anything
weird.
is beyond
It's
it.
weird, right?
I like things that I can see in some manner, be it
Oh,
under a
okay.
microscope or not. I mean, I know we have telescopes. I'm aware of
I
that.
was just gonna
But
say,
like,
how do you feel about the other
no, I mean,
optical instruments?
we got the kids a telescope for Christmas, and that's been
Oh
fun.
yeah. Oh cool.
But or Santa did. It's okay. They're not listening to this.
By the
And
time they could possibly listen to this, the jig will be up.
yes, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the idea. So I know that before, I believe you have explained it to me, as far as the universe expanding, like being like an ant walking on a balloon. Am
Yeah,
I
right.
remembering
That like,
correctly?
yeah. So it's this idea that space itself is expanding. The expansion of the universe. It's not that it's expanding into anything. Like there's some blank white
But there
space, and the
has to
universe
be
is spreading out like ink.
something because that balloon is not in a vacuum,
But what if the
right?
universe? What if all there is a balloon?
But there,
There's our episode title.
but like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like the implications for, or I know someone else had once put it to me, like thinking about like the bacteria in our bodies and how they don't realize that they're part of our bodies. They're just living their little bacterial lives.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't like that implication either, that we're part of something that we can't sense. Like we are
Yeah.
to bacteria as something giant and scary is to us. And yeah, too big, too unknowable.
The
Don't
only
like
thing
it.
that I have to
Also, the
share
whole
that-
like
oh, go ahead.
no gravity, no oxygen, floating to your death endlessly. I mean, like, you know.
Well, that's why it's maybe reassuring that there's so much stuff out there. You'd eventually get pulled in and just, yes, no oxygen, sure.
Yeah.
You just, your corpse can orbit something. You won't just be floating endlessly.
I guess that's true.
How's that for reassuring? Your corpse can orbit something. What was I going to say? Okay, two things. I wanted to talk more about the balloon for just a second.
Okay.
And then I wanted to talk about, I don't I don't know that this is similar, but I have been afraid of something that was too big before. And so I'm like, maybe it's a similar feeling. One time, me and my friends were driving, I think we were on like Route 12, and it was pretty late at night, and there was a gas station, and it was real lit up, and there was
Oh, is this the American flag
this
thing?
enormous American flag, and it was just too big. It was like, why is that flag so big? I mean, I'm not like super into flags to begin with, but it had nothing to do with like not liking nationalism. It was simply that flag's too big. I'm not comfortable with how large that flag is.
See,
Didn't care for it.
That I relate more to my friend Ellen, who doesn't like what are they called? Wind turbines. Because
I love wind turbines. They make me so happy.
See,
Ellen,
yeah,
what's
well,
not to love?
It's like a gravity thing. Like she doesn't like super steep hills either. Like she's afraid of like falling off the world, essentially.
What does it have to do with a wind turbine? She think it's gonna blow her off the world, or like
maybe. I think she
give
thinks
us some
they're
clarity
too big.
here.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're listening,
yeah.
yeah.
So that
one of the
seems
museums
more...
that I went to in Germany, you could like see the cross section of a wind turbine and like look inside it and stuff.
Oh wow!
And, like, wow, it is really, really big.
Oh yeah.
I just think wind turbines are like, they fill me with like an odd sense of like pride as a human and us figuring out how to work these things, like clean energy, and they're elegant and look at them go. Oh,
When we flew
them.
between last year when we went to Paris, we had a layover in Copenhagen, and we flew between Copenhagen and Paris. And in part of the North Sea, that would be the North Sea, yes, yes, there were like a ton of wind turbines, like a whole, like I'd say field of them, but they were in the sea.
Oh,
it was pretty
awesome.
neat. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, I'll have to look for that.
Yeah.
So, About the balloon, though, just to clarify, the idea is if you are an ant walking on a balloon, and let's say there's like a dot on the balloon, and you're like, you're measuring your distances relative to that dot. If someone blows up the balloon further, you get further away from the dot. It's not like, it's basically something that appears two-dimensional to the ant is expanding in the third dimension.
Right.
And so this is the same idea with our universe expanding, just scaled up a dimension.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Oh, I like it a lot. I don't fully and like a bone deep level feel like I get it because it's so hard to picture, but I think that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay. All right.
Much rather stick to microbes.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do not like them.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
they're so nice and tiny.
They're not like cute.
Sure they are.
Which one is cute?
Oh, I mean, tuberculosis is my favorite. Sure.
Is it? But okay, is that just because you studied it or because it is actively cute?
I mean, have you looked up pictures of Giardia?
No. What? Guess.
Well, here, let's take a moment. I'll look up the Hubble Deep Space. You look up Giardia.
All right. Okay. Okay, well, it has a little face.
Yeah, he has a little face.
He's kind of like, meh. I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's not a microbe, but...
Wait, Giardia isn't a microbe?
Well, I guess you could... Yeah, it's a microbe. It's not bacterial.
Right.
It's a parasite.
Wait, so parasites aren't bacteria?
No, parasites are not bacteria. Usually they're multicellular, they're eukaryotic, a lot of times. So yeah, no, parasites are usually not bacterial.
Yeah, they kind of look like they got like big eyes and some little tentacle guys, like a goofy looking squid.
Yeah. Aren't they adorable?
I mean, not if I think about them being inside me.
Well, they're not inside you.
But they could be.
Well, sure,
if you Giardia.
Drink river water. Don't do that.
All right. Fair enough.
As far as the deep space goes, that's a beautiful picture.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's very pretty. Yes. Yeah.
Just think like each one of those dots is as big as the Milky Way. I mean, approximately.
Oh, those are not stars.
No, those are not stars. Those are galaxies.
I like it a lot less. Ow. Huh. Whoa. Yeah, those are galaxies?
Yes.
Yeah, don't like that. Wow. I mean, it's still gorgeous. I still maintain.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
We do have a listener story.
Yes,
correct?
we do. Yes, we do. So this one is coming from a friend. We will call her Frisked in Fort Myers. We'll give her that name in the style of Sleepless in Seattle or something. And when you listen to this story, you can picture her being played by Claire Danes.
Oh, all right.
For if Mulder and Scully were to investigate this. So we can picture
Great.
Claire Danes. All right. So she gives us some backstory. The first ghost tour, this is another ghost tour story.
Oh.
The first one she ever went on was in St. Augustine, Florida. It was on a roller derby trip, and it was led by a very eccentric guy with a large hat, maybe a top hat, and a very thick New Jersey accent. And it was really fun and informative about the area, even though it yielded zero ghosts. And she says, I'm skeptical, so whatever. But after that, I decided the best way to experience an old town on vacation is to take a ghost tour. You get history, information about architecture, exercise, and it's just a good time. Which
That's
I think
a great
is
idea.
A great idea.
Yeah, that never would have occurred to me. That's great.
Yeah, me either. And now I feel like I'm going to tell people that as a travel agent, and I'm going to, sound insightful and steal her idea. Sorry,
Totally.
Frisked in Fort Myers. And so then she says, okay, fast forward to my honeymoon, which was in Fort Myers, Florida. I begged my spouse to do a ghost tour with me. He is way more skeptical than I am regarding ghosts. He flat out does not believe in them, whereas I don't think anyone can 100% disprove their existence, so I'm more open-minded. But he decided to go with it because he wanted to learn about the city. And she says it was a lot like the tour in St. Augustine. She notes it was an eccentric tour guide, a lady with a big hat from New Jersey. They must have a ghost tour college up there, which I thought was hilarious. She said she was much more believable than the tour leader in St. Augustine. She told a lot of great stories, and she had suggested we take photos of windows where ghosts had been known to appear. They were having a good time. Mm-hmm. And then she says, we get to this cute, well-lit alleyway. The guide told us this area always gave her the heebie-jeebies, and she didn't want to stay there long. Similar to what she said about other areas. I took pictures of the windows she indicated as haunted, and of this really cute dishes hutch that was sitting outside for outdoor seating at a restaurant. Ooh. As I was listening to the host, I felt what I thought was warm fingers on my right shoulder, as if someone was adjusting my bra strap so it was under my tank top. My spouse was behind me on that side, so I turned around and thanked him. He looked puzzled. I turned back to keep listening and felt the same thing. I looked back at my hubby and said, okay, that's enough. He looked even more puzzled. I felt the feeling again and reached up, but didn't feel any hands. Ooh. But I'm thinking, no biggie. He moved his hand out of the way. So I turned to him, said, stop bugging me. And he whispered, I don't know what you're talking about. Whoa. I was getting angry now. So I turned back to keep listening to the lady, and I felt a tug on my clothes and hot air on my neck and shoulder. Oh. I turned quickly to tell my spouse to leave me alone, but he was a foot or so away and obviously not doing anything. No one else was near us. I spent the rest of the tour asking him over and over if he was fucking with me. He said no. He was getting angry that I didn't believe him. And she says, I did. I just didn't want to believe him. Yeah. I wasn't scared or creeped out even, just very confused and annoyed at the whole thing. But then when I looked through my pictures after, as we were walking from one location to the next, I realized that all my pictures were pretty good considering they were taken at night, except for one. The dishes hutch picture was blurry with motion, even though I took it while standing still. It was a weird swirly motion, like the camera was being spun while the picture was being taken.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. She says, at the end of the tour, we stayed a bit after everyone left. I decided to tell the tour guide what I'd experienced. I told her I didn't think I believed in ghosts, but this happened. And she said, oh, was it in this one alleyway? That's not the first person who's said that.
Whoa.
Yeah. And she said the ghost that likes to hang in that alleyway seems to like to mess with women in silly, pranking ways. Nothing harmful, just annoying and slightly inappropriate. And she lost some of her eccentricity when she said this. She was pretty serious.
Whoa.
Yeah. And she said, I'm 99% sure it wasn't my spouse. He would not have kept up this joke this long. He would not have done that. But so I don't know for sure, but that is what happened.
Man, and I want to know where that is so I can never go there.
Actually, she then sent me a video, not her video, but someone else took a video on the tour, and it includes footage of that alleyway.
Oh, wow.
So you could see it and you could not go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does she still have the photo of the dishes hutch?
That is a good question. I didn't ask her. I want to see it.
Yeah.
I'll ask her if she has it. Maybe we can share it.
Yeah, so, that would be awesome. Yeah. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Cool. This actually reminded me of a story of mine that I've forgotten about until just now. Or was that it? I didn't want to.
Yeah, that was it. Yep,
okay.
That was it. Yep.
So it reminded me. So right after I graduated college, I was working in an ovarian cancer research lab at the hospital. Mm-hmm. And so we were in like the hospital proper, but we were a translational research lab. And so we had a microscope room that was in like the inside of the building. So it was shaped in a way where kind of in a square where the offices were on the outside with the windows, and then the lab was on the inside. Mm-hmm. And so 2 stories. So there was a microscope room that we would often use for changing because we'd have to sometimes go down to the ER. So we'd put on scrubs. Do you remember this story?
I remember there being something spooky, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. So we would have to sometimes change into scrubs. And so instead of using like the big locker rooms, we would just change in the microscope room. Mm-hmm. And because it locked. That's the key to this. It locked.
Okay.
But it locked. So it locked from the inside like a normal room would, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd change and lock it so people couldn't walk in on me. Anyway.
Yeah.
And so I went in there to change one day and it was later, so most of my coworkers had gone home and I was changing back into my regular clothes and then gonna go leave for the day, and when I tried to open the door, it was locked.
But
And
it was locked from the outside?
yes, it was locked from the outside. I could not open it even though the lock was on the inside with me.
So
And
like
so
the handle wouldn't turn?
the handle wouldn't turn.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Okay.
And so I tried messing with the lock and I tried a little bit more and it wouldn't open. And then I started knocking and, seeing if anyone was
Yeah.
around who could let me out.
Yeah.
And I think eventually I just tried again and it opened fine. And I was able to leave.
What the heck?
And I ran out of there as
Yeah.
fast as I could.
Well, so there was no lock on the outside of the door, just on the inside.
Yes.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
freaked me out. And it was right
Yeah.
across from our cell culture room. And
So you thought one of the cells did it.
yeah.
It evolved. It crawled over and it locked the door. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it freaked me out then because whenever I'd be working at the cell culture hood, that door would be right behind my back. And so I always hated then sitting at that hood working and feeling like, my back was to an open doorway and behind that open doorway was that door.
Yeah. Ugh.
So I didn't like that.
No.
So then the other story about this lab was that one day, and I can't remember if I think this came before me being locked in the microscope room. One of these surgeons was there and he had done a surgery, collected some stuff, had to add some chemicals to it. I can't remember why he was there, but he was working in the lab late at night and he was at a different hood, but still in the lab. And he felt someone grab his shoulder. And this was at 6:00 at night. And he turned around and no one was there.
Oh my God.
And he was notorious for making the lab techs cry. He never made me cry. But
That's good.
he was like a very typical surgeon who has no social skills and
Got it. Yeah.
very gruff and this was not someone who
He's
was
not
gonna be,
all woo woo.
if
you will. Yeah.
like the opposite.
Yeah.
Yes, the opposite. And so he said, he was there by himself one night and felt someone grab him while he was standing at the hood and turned back and there was no one there.
Nice.
And around this time is when
not nice, creepy.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And around this time, so it's a newer hospital. I mean,
I was about to ask. Yeah.
relatively so. It's not new. I don't know when it was built, but it's not. There's on campus at UW-Madison. There's the old hospital that's now one of the sciences buildings. It's not that. It's not the
Right. Yeah. It's not
a
hundreds
modern
of years
building.
old. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did after this all happened. I was thinking, oh, I mean, it's a hospital. It's not like anyone's died in the building.
Wait, you thought that for real or?
Yeah, no, I thought that for real.
Sarcastically?
And then as soon as I thought it was oh,
Yeah, because you were probably thinking it's not like people lived here,
right, exactly.
And then it's
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
they just came here when they were ill,
Yes.
and then maybe died. Yeah,
yes, yeah. So I don't know. Those were my that just reminded me. I forgot about those stories.
Yeah. It reminds me of that.
Yeah.
And I have
some
a
of my
lot of
coworkers.
ghost tours in my immediate future. So
Yeah, that's exciting.
we will see.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, is that it? I believe.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
And still up next is Young at Heart.
Yes.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Still no Skinner.
Still no
Still no
Skinner.
other sighting of cigarette smoking man.
Nope. And I think we are due.
Yeah.
I also was feeling like we're really due for some like Mulder backstory about his childhood
Yeah.
or his sister or just like his parents, his life. Like I feel like
Right.
we've gotten that a little bit more with Scully. So I feel like I guess we did get in Fire, we got the woman from Oxford, the awful
Yeah.
British woman.
Hmm.
But I feel like we're due for some more. I
Yeah.
don't know if we'll get it in Young at Heart or not, but I'm feeling ready for that.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, until next time.
And remember, share it. Tell people you like it, even if you don't. No. Yeah.
Why have you been listening to our 16th episode if you don't like it? You need to re-examine your
Your life choices.
your time. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Until later.
Bye.